present.
There you go. Thank you, Alice, for holding down that side of the road.
Well,
No problem. Appreciate that.
Y'all are kind of out of balance.
It's a little cooler up here. I think you're spending too much money on air conditioning. Or maybe not enough on heat. I don't know.
Over there, it's not so cold.
Is it not?
I bumped it up a little bit, so it'll stop.
Thank you.
Thank you. So tell everyone what's happening today.
Here's another one for the bad side.
I wouldn't call it that.
Okay, it's good time.
Well, it depends on which way you're looking. If you're looking this way,
Yeah, how are you? Yeah, that's right.
Since how you doing today? Any better, Frank? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Is this two minutes of that?
How are you? You're over here.
we get started, Jay, how did it ever get
Oh, there you go. Now we can have a meeting. Now we have the necessary parties
I was
down.
gonna say, how we gonna do any motions?
Well, you'll have to wait.
There was a John Quack.
Hey, I knew I was late when I saw Scott walking in. I said I knew I was late when I saw Scott walking in.
Ages and ages.
You got 4 seconds and you're good to show. You're good to go.
Congratulations. Thank you, friend. Appreciate that. Over there, and don't worry, I took the last one.
Oh, you got 2 of them. Look at that.
Because I knew I needed to help you.
I memorized Okay, let's see if I know what I'm doing here this morning. I'm gonna call this meeting of the Hartford, Texas County Government Executive Commission to order. We need to make sure that we had a quorum, and we do have a quorum. It's also important to find out if we had a proper proof of the meeting posted, and we did. Thank you, Mary. At this time, we're gonna ask that we introduce some guests, and I'm gonna change it up a little bit, if y'all don't mind. If you're an actual employee, you don't have to be a guest, okay? But do we have anybody here that are not an employee that are a guest here today? If you don't mind, I'd like to recognize you. Please start on the left and let's say who you are. And
Hi, Amy Teal. I'm with, well, I'm not with, I'm in the city of Whitney, running for council, trying to get more involved in, and I've been streaming a lot of meetings over the last several years, and I've never gotten a chance to attend or stream a COG meeting. It's been on my radar for a while, but I figured I need to get off the couch and down into a meeting and check it out. So thank
well, a
you.
lot of people say this is the ultimate, so they're getting tired. Anybody else that might be? Go ahead. Yes,
The
sir.
mayor has just walked in.
My name is Shane Brassel. I'm currently the captain of the County jail.
And I brought Shane with me today. Many years Shane was our JP, and he's doing a wonderful job as our jail captain. I'm bragging a little bit. Previous administration, about 200 hours a week in overtime. I know that might not sound a lot, but that's a lot to us. I think his first period here, he got down like 0.08 hours overtime, so I really like the way he's going. And the COG offers so many opportunities for law enforcement training. We're down here meeting some folks today, and thought we'd do that while we're here.
Welcome. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Cody Wood. I work for the Waco Police Department.
Glad to have you. Anyone else here that Now, I'll let you, go ahead.
Eugene Surrey, I'm with Representative Packer.
Okay. So we'd like to welcome.
Renee O'Bara from Attila Brown and Hill.
Okay. Glad y'all came. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Sorry, Vicki Mercer, Congressman Sessions' office.
Oh, yes, that's good. Well, that. One thing, this is the first meeting that I'm going to have here as being the president. I look forward to trying to do it. One of the things that I do in my part-time is I'm a woodworker. I like to work in wood and make things and craft things. And so I have something right now that I want to present. Justin, if you'll come here now. And y'all know, chances are good we're going to be losing Justin. And this may be the first time I've seen this. Anyway, it's a very nice gift. Beautiful. And we'd like to say congratulations to you, everybody on the board. One thing that I found about Justin is you got to get up early in the morning to out-knowledge him. He knows what he's talking about. And so I've been able to call him ever since I became a judge in Limestone County. And it's always been nice. Justin would always come through and help me out. And so on behalf of everyone here today, we say, we're sorry that you're leaving.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you all very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg. I think I told somebody earlier, hold off on that, I'll let you know in a month if I here or not. This has been an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to learn. This group of folks, hardworking folks that represent Central Texas, the Heart of Texas Council of Governments, I can't say enough about each and every one of you. The lessons that I've learned in this room, I've taught, the friendships we've made, the knowledge you pass on. For a guy that was 29 years old when he took this job, just kind of wet behind the ears to say the least, this is a group that makes things happen. And our small communities working together to accomplish tasks we couldn't do individually has been just a wonderful experience. So thank you all. I know I will see you in the future, not in the courtroom hopefully, but love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Judge, the one thing I'd like to mention, if everybody has a chance, you can go on the Senate website and download the confirmation hearing. And I would like to say, look, some of y'all have seen the video, but Justin that they introduced is Justin W. Lewis, County Judge of Hill County from Aguila, Texas. So we are so happy that you put Aguila, Texas on the map. I can't find it, but I know it's on the map somewhere.
It's been an interesting conversation around the community. Not that, hey, the local kid got appointed. It's like, can nobody really pronounce this? So,
But the funny part of it is when you watch the video, you see the other two clerks as they're reading it, look at the third one and go, what did you just say?
Okay, let's go ahead and start the meeting by going into our agenda here. The first item that we're going to have is the approval of the minutes of the January 23rd, 25 meeting. I hope you'll have had a chance to take a look at them. Do we have any action?
Mr. President, after review, I move that we approve the meeting minutes of the January 2025 meeting.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on this item? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? That will pass. Let's go then to item B, under new business. The first item is going to be the 2024 audit report. Russell, I'll let you go ahead and introduce anyone that's going to be talking about this, and I will entertain any kind of action on this after we hear the presentation.
I do want to point out before we get started on this that, normally it's John and Todd doing the show today, but we have a much prettier audience today delivered to us.
Oh, the audience.
So as you all know, the 2 CFR 200 requires us to have an annual audit, single audit. And so in November, Attila Brown and Hill came and did our audit. And so Mary emailed a copy, and all of you should have a hard copy in front of you. Renee O'Bara is here from Attila Brown and Hill, and she's going to go over the report with you this morning.
Good morning. My name is Renee O'Bara. I'm from Attila Brown and Hill. I'm a senior auditor there. And I'm going to present the audit results for the fiscal year 24. So we'll begin with the independent auditor's report. If you'd like to flip through to page 1. So this report basically is the foundation of our opinion. I do want to note that management does take ownership and the financial statements do belong to management, basically meaning that they are responsible for preparing financial statements and again, take ownership of those. Our role as auditors is to express an independent opinion on whether there was any any misstatement that was free in the financial statements. So with that being said, I'm happy to report that we did express an unmodified opinion, which is also, in other words, a clean opinion. So what that means for you board members is that you can rely on these financial statements to be free of any material misstatement and can rely on these as users of the financial statements. Okay, so now you can flip to page 36, which is our next report. Okay, so this report here, we go over the internal controls. During our audit, we do a lot of testing over internal controls. Now, we do not express an opinion on the effectiveness of internal controls. However, if we were to find anything that could lead to a deficiency in internal control or a material weakness, we would report that here. And I am happy to report that we have neither of those. All right, so the next report is on page 38. This is going to be over the compliance over the major programs for federal and state single audits. So if you're wondering what requires a federal or state single audit, is when a council expends $750,000 in federal awards. The same can be said for the state awards. So if you flip to page 44, you'll see the total federal awards you had was $4.1 million, which of course is well over that $750,000 and did require a federal single audit. Okay, and then if you flip to page 46, you'll see that those total state awards expended of $3.2 million, which again is well over that $750,000 threshold and did require a single audit as well. So going back to the page 38 on our opinion on the compliance, I did want to note that the council was in compliance with all requirements by the Texas Grant Management Standards and the Office of Management and Budget. So there were no findings and you are in compliance with the federal and state awards. And this is again stated in page 48. And the schedule of findings and question costs. You'll see that in the very top, we do have, again, restated that we issued an unmodified opinion on financial statements. Midway through this report, you'll see the major programs that we did test for the single audit for federal and state awards. For the federal single audit, we tested the aging cluster, and for the state, we tested 911 emergency communications. And in the bottom, you'll see that, again, we did not report any findings related to the compliance as well for the federal and state programs. And that basically concludes my presentation of the audit results. This report here that you see is just basically reinstating management's responsibility of the financial statements, and you can take the time to read through that. But before I go, I do want to express my gratitude to Michelle Vasquez and John Minix, as well as Christine and Donis, who helped us out a lot and made this process go smoothly. Thank you so much. Do y'all have any questions?
I had the opportunity to review it ahead of time, so not as many as normal, but thank you very much for a good presentation. And less than a question, more of a statement again, the staff of our Texas Council of Governments, thank you. Thank you for another good fiscal year. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so the recommended action is that the Heart of Texas Council of Governments Executive Committee accept the FY 2024 audit report.
So moved.
Second. Do you have a motion and a second? Any other discussion on this item? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that will pass. So let's go ahead and go down to the second item here, and that's gonna be the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee new member recommendation. Before you, we've got, in the packet, as you can see, we've got a recommendation here. And Russell, do you want to go ahead and visit about this?
Okay, Lanny, you wanna go ahead and get the briefing?
Certainly. So as you guys may recall from last year, the Office of the Governor issued some new requirements for membership of the CJAC board that included mental health, education, and court representation, and also that no single discipline could make up more than 1/3 of the board. So to adjust our board to meet those new requirements, we did add some new members last year. And one of the ones that we needed to get more representation for was mental health. And so I contacted the Behavioral Health Network, and they presented Ms. Tiffany Douglas, who is the Mental Health Director of Clinical Services, as a candidate to be a member of the CJAC board. So we are requesting that you approve her and appoint her to the board.
So moved.
Have a motion to approve that?
Second.
And a second, any other discussion on this item?
I'm just glad we found somebody from mental health, being on that board. It's such an important part of it. Thank you for doing that.
And this will give us two, because we do have Elizabeth Timmons
That's right.
is a member.
That's right, wonderful.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second on the table here. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that will pass. Let's go ahead and talk about item number 3, and that's gonna be the FY 2025 revised resolution of the state crisis intervention program. The award, Russell, I'll let you go ahead and bring us up to date on everything that we need to know about this.
Okay. Lana?
So, in our last grant cycle, we did apply for and receive an award for the state crisis intervention program. This is for crisis intervention training and to create a crisis intervention team for the region. Our original application was for a higher amount, and I'm sorry I don't have the amount of the original, but the Office of the Governor came down and said we can award only $20,898.61. Since we accepted that award at that lower amount, we have to revise our resolution with the corrected amount on there. So we are requesting an approval of the corrected resolution authorizing us to accept the award for $20,000.
The original request was $34,831, and increased down to $20,800.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve the amended resolution to reflect the lower number.
Second.
Yes. A motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that'll pass. And let's keep rolling. I'm gonna find the Emergency Preparedness Advisory Committee appointee. I'm sorry, did I miss one?
Criminal justice
I'm sorry.
recommendations.
The,
Number 4.
number 4 is gonna be the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee ranking and recommendation for funding of FY 2026. And, there's been a little bit of discussion on this here lately, but I'll go ahead and continue on, and it seems like you got the show today.
Okay. So we did our scoring meeting for the criminal justice grant funds. There are a total of 5 funding sources that we heard presentations on applications for. The CJAC board heard presentations for the JAG, which is our Justice Assistance Grant Program. Normally it pays for things like patrol vehicles and equipment and things like that. They recommended all projects in that funding group for full funding with the exception of Waco ISD. You may have noticed that they applied for a little over $1 million. Unfortunately, the JAG grant reasonable budget expectation is somewhere around $160,000 for the entire region. So in their presentation, they told the board that their number 1 priority is body worn cameras. Since their application put all of these things into the budget in one lump sum. We had to do some kind of rough math in there to figure out approximately what that project would cost if we funded just their number one priority. And their rough guess was about $144,000, which is still a significant amount. They voted to fund only that portion, or to recommend funding only that portion. So that is the only grant application that was submitted that they did not recommend for full funding. They came in second on the ranking. So what that would mean is Falls County is number one, they would be fully funded. And then Waco ISD would be funded all pretty close to the full amount, and I think it was just over 100,000, or just right at 100,000 that they would get left over, or 98,000. That's what they would get to go towards their body-worn camera program. That would be where the money would end right there, if our reasonable budget expectation is what we assume it's going to be. Okay. That's the only deviation from our normal procedures. All the other funding groups, we ranked them, and they voted to fund them or recommend them all for full funding in the order in which they were scored.
What are the odds of any of them funding?
I'm sorry?
What are the odds of any of those additional fundings? Like if you go down to the VOCA project, for
Yes.
example, we've got 1 through 6 there. How far does the money go this year, or does it?
On VOCA, we're just a little over. So VOCA, our reasonable budget expectation is right at $1,500,000, somewhere around in there. And of course, we're guessing because we don't have the actual ones yet. That's based on what we got last year. So all of the projects would be fully funded except maybe Falls County if the Office of the Governor funds it in this. Now, VOCA is one of those that we have historically seen them fund everything above, and there's no guarantee, but even above the recommended funding. We've seen them fund everything in past years.
Okay.
Because it does have more money, as you know. It has more money in there. It's not a lot more, but
Historically, they do not, there's money typically left over, and because we send everything there, since they have it, they go, okay, we can fund, and they start going down. So we've had to wait, Falls County has had to wait sometimes for the funding for stuff.
So let me ask you this question, something I don't understand. Waco applied for a little over $1 million. What if they applied for, Waco ISD that is, what if they applied for $5 million? Would they then get all the rest of what was brought in, or is it gonna be, is there a limit to what they can get funded? If that's the case, then why wouldn't everybody ask for way more than they're even think they'll get?
Well, on this piece with Waco, I just used Waco ISD. With this case, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because I had a couple people on it, they did not, the committee only recommended funding for a specific line. You can come in and ask for $5 million, but the committee itself is always gonna go, all right, because they can adjust that number as the committee sees, because you're talking lots of guys that are on it, retired state troopers, police officers, commissioners, all that stuff.
One thing that they will do, because these are people from the disciplines that represent the different agencies. And in this particular grant cycle, we actually had one individual group come in and they wanted a new car, a vehicle. They actually wanted a pickup truck is what it was, and it was $65,000. We had another department come in and they wanted a vehicle, but they had listed their budget request at $95,000 for a vehicle.
So it just happened to be a Tahoe.
It happened to be a Tahoe, but what they will do sometimes is Jay's Auto Group is supplying to Fairfield for $65,000, but Justin's Auto Group is supplying to Fairfield for $85,000. They'll sit there and go, you might consider going over here because you can get you get the same car for less amount of money that puts more money back into the pool to distribute down to everybody else. There is some negotiation that goes on in these meetings, and they rank what they're asking for. It's not a kids' Christmas list where they come in and ask for everything.
Yeah.
Typically, where this was really different with WISD is they basically came in and wanted us to fund their 30-person department. And the people on the committee, I mean, obviously, there's more police at WISD than a lot of our cities have total departments, and they're looking at it, and they're saying, well, this is kind of an unreasonable request. Let's look into what is possible and go back and grade out what they do.
And since I got us down the rabbit trail, one last question on the local grant. The Navarro Victim Center, we ask this question every year, but if you could just tell everybody why we'd be funding somebody with the name Navarro in there.
Right.
It's not Navarro County.
It is in our region now. They did start in Navarro, and then, last grant cycle, they applied to open the same house in Fairfield, which they did. And they have discovered, the need in our region is significantly higher, and we have less resources. So they've actually moved their entire operation to Fairfield. They're gonna do everything in our region, and they're leaving Navarro County. They feel like our need is bigger.
Do they provide services in all 6 counties in the region?
They're going to be providing services and all, their home base is gonna be in Fairfield, but they, in their presentation, that was a question that was asked to the board, and they are, partnering with our existing, services there so that they can be available to help the entire region.
Good deal.
That's it, so.
And we do have several new board members with us today. One of the reasons we rank so deep on some of these grants, even though you're looking at it, you're only funding the top 2, why put 4 people down there? It's because regularly, at the end of the year, there are monies that have not been expended across the state. That money is then returned back to the governor's office, and they look at it and they go, well, 24 COGs requested this money, 16 of them sent money back. They turn that back to the other COGs to say, we have additional dollars that you can distribute. By having them automatically ranked and lined up, the disbursements become active. You've already approved it, and we don't have to bring it back, and it makes it so much more efficient to get that money back out to the communities.
And we've had to wait sometimes till October, end of October, to get a grant, because they're still trying to crunch the numbers on what came back, what was funded for, it was VAWA. So, I mean.
And even there, just like Lana said, we are given what's considered to be a reasonable budget expectation. They're not saying you're gonna get $1 million. You can expect that. They might come back and say, well, you're gonna get 750. Everything is adjusted down by that percentage. Or they may say, well, hey, we found a federal grant and they throw us more money, and so your numbers can go up proportionally.
So Lana, if I understand correctly, your recommendation is to approve as presented in the scoring that was done.
Yes, and just for clarification on your question about on the funding, because Waco ISD was only recommended for $144,000, so if they have extra money, that's the cap that the Office of the Governor will actually fund. They won't go over our recommendation. And that's also why the board recommends everybody for full funding usually, because then when they have that surplus of money that was de-obligated from previous years, they look for projects like the JAG, that's equipment, and it's quick turnaround, and they'll fund those, as long as they're recommended.
You said you wasn't sure about the funding, excuse me, that's coming in. When will you be sure? What?
Probably October.
October is?
It's getting later and later every year. It's probably gonna be October before we know what we're actually getting. They may come out in the next month or so with a reasonable budget expectation, but still it's all dependent upon the federal government. Once the federal government
So
figures
it
out
could
what their
really
budget's
change. I
gonna
mean,
be,
it could
it
change.
could
It could be a lot
change.
more.
Yes, it could be a lot more, it could be less. And we're in that area where we really don't know. We're making our best guess, but by recommending everybody for full funding, that gives them the opportunity, if there is extra money, if the federal government comes in and says, hey, we're gonna give you a whole bunch of money in the JAG, then we get to fund everybody. And that did happen for us. I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we had a reasonable budget expectation of that 160. We had $600,000 in applications. By the end of it, everybody got funded.
Another thing that could happen, not many people ever turn money back. But let's just say WISD, for whatever reason, there's a different grant that would pay for more money, more body equipment than what is offered here. They could refuse to accept this grant, and that puts $144,000 back in, that drops right back down to the people that are already on the list. And that has
We've
happened.
had that happen here too, just in the last grant cycle, someone was awarded, and then there was a question in the admin about it, and they decided not to accept the award, and that went back into the fund, and that was able to
Thank you.
be
Is there
funded.
any discussion on this item right now? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the recommendation.
Have a motion and a second to accept that recommendation. And any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Let's move over to the next item. And that's gonna be on the, did I pass it?
No, I'm ahead of myself, no, you sir.
Okay. This is gonna be the, and I'll defer a little bit to the mayor and Mahia, but I do understand that Heath Crossland has decided that he's not gonna be able to continue on. And so, I'm gonna make a recommendation that Leonard Stewart replace him in the Horticulture Council Emergency Preparedness Advisory Committee. But Gary, do you have anything that you know about it? That's what I understood.
Sounds good. Carlton's doing an excellent job. I make a motion to accept Leonard Stewart to fill his position.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that item?
Hey, Andy, got anything for us on this?
No. That's pretty straightforward.
I love it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
Now,
Nice tie.
Thank
It
you.
really is, I like that.
I thought I saw that at Carrot Toss and I didn't pick it. But let's go to item number 6, Homeland Security Grant Application. And go ahead if you have a presentation for us.
Yeah, I know.
Similar to our other applications, we're just asking for the approval of the resolution for the application of our emergency notification system. This is already voted upon in our EPAC sworn meeting, and so we're just asking for the approval of that resolution.
Motion made.
Second.
And motion is made. Second, any other discussion on the floor?
Yes, sir, real quick. This is a regional service that I don't think most people take full advantage of, and I highly recommend it. I know Hill County has an account. We make multiple sub-counts under it for cities, for other entities. It has the ability to geocache. Basically, here we draw a circle around this area on the map, and it's gonna notify everybody of a bridge outage.
Water outage.
Boil notices. It's just a great way in today's world to contact with your community, especially when your community is not in a major media market. So thanks for recommending this again. I'm so happy the committee did. That's my comment, President.
We do have a motion and a second on the floor, I believe. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And moving right along then, we'll go to item number 7. This is gonna be the FY 2026 State Homeland Security Program, Horticulture Council of Government Regional Projects Funding Recommendations. Let me hear all these recommendations.
Okay. So we had our sworn meeting last week. This is the day before the CJAC sworn meeting. It was a little bit simpler this year. We had a smaller applicant pool. We only had 8 applicants for SHSP funding through our region. We had a regional budget expectation of around $430,000. We had a total of applications in this fund for $568,993.59. The EPAC's recommendation was to recommend each application for full funding according to the scores, and we're just asking for the approval of that ranking list.
So move.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on this item? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And that will pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move down to item number 8, and that's going to be the Heart Texas Rural Transit District, Section 5311, funding purchase of a Type 7 bus and preventive maintenance. And I see that Rep has come to the,
Yes, sir.
tell us all about it.
So what Texas did is they had $2 million setting aside. They decided to spread it out to the 5311 agencies, rural transit agencies. Our portion of that was $180,000. And the kicker to this federal funds is that it comes in total. transportation development credits, or TDCs, as we like to call them. So we don't have to provide any match for this fund, as long as we buy capital items. So what we're requesting is proceed with the purchase of a minivan for us to use a smaller vehicle, and then we'll take the other half of that funding and use it for preventative maintenance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second.
This middle corridor of rural counties trying to get to those populations that don't have the ability to get out. I mean, if it wasn't for you guys in Western Hill County, there's a lot of folks that are just homebound and can't move, so great program.
Yes, so what's the purpose of the minivan?
We can make more trips with smaller people. If you have one that doesn't need a wheelchair, for instance, it is wheelchair accessible.
Okay.
I will say that. But it's also set to where we can take people to the grocery store, shorter trips. And like Judge Lewis said, we can also get underneath in some smaller areas with that minivan.
Mary, was there any concern about who made the motion second? You got that?
Wait a second, I don't remember. I steal that.
Okay. Okay, anyway, I didn't know if you maybe got off. We do have a motion and a second on the table. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right then. We'll move along
My work is done.
to our reports. Who's gonna be first here today?
Michelle.
Michelle's gonna be first.
I can be first. And Judge Duncan is doing a really good job of keeping everybody Russell on track. So I'm
Oh, Russell will show.
Now, did Russell tell you to say that?
I tried. So I am going to be quick with the reports. There's nothing out of the ordinary this month. Starting on page 23 is our combined balance sheet as of January 31st, 2025. You see total assets of $4,760,071. Total liabilities, $1,180,458. And our grand total liabilities and fund equity is $4,760,071. On the next page is the combined statement of revenues and expenditures for the 4 months of our fiscal year ending January 31st, 2025. Our year-to-date revenues is $2,733,421, and our year-to-date expenditures $2,643,240, which gives an excess of revenues over expenditures of $90,181. Then we have a due to hot ed of $85,313, leaving a net change in fund balance of $4,868. And our fund balances as of January 31st is $667,899. So page 25 is our cash report for January. Beginning balance, operating account $173,112. Our short-term investments $910,177. There were transfers in and out and interest, leaving our ending balance operating account $179,506. Short-term investments $948,694. And our total cash as of January 31st is $1,128,200. On page 26 is the personnel statement. As of February 21st, there's 31 positions, 31 filled, no vacancies.
Right.
One amendment I'd like to make to that last one is, as you're all aware, we played musical chairs. John went into semi-retirement. Michelle moved up to John's position. We have not replaced Michelle's previous position, but we have went out for bid, not for bid, for
Listening to folks.
soliciting for people. But we did post that job yesterday to replace Michelle's old position.
Michelle, on page 21.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
On the membership dues received for, it's a small amount, $5,600.
Because we just did dues letters again, so that will go up next month. The new dues.
Go up? Yeah, okay.
for our dues receivable. We just did dues letters, our annual dues letters.
You know, we got this-
So they had not
The dues
been,
aren't going up, the collection rate will go up.
right.
Yeah. Missed off with that.
So,
Never mind.
yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Good morning.
Morning.
For guest purposes, I'm Dorothy Jackson, I'm with Regional Services, and my report starts on page 29. You have before you my report. I will go over a little bit just for reference for anybody that is listening in the audience. We do a revolving loan funds. We have USDA funds and we have TDA fund, which was a SMRF. Yes, it's a little blue lender, is what I like to say. The USDA fund is low to moderate income, small businesses, those who cannot get a loan through bank institutions. And it's for everybody in our area in rural McLennan County. Unfortunately, communities like Hewitt or Woodway, they can't apply for the funding. They're considered urgent to Waco. But Moody and Mark, those type of people can apply for funding. Our TDA SMRF is mainly for Falls County. And so anybody in Falls County that is a micro enterprise, a very small enterprise, can apply for this funding. Now we're gonna go on page 30. EDA, I wanna point out, EDA has been reauthorized. Now, something that hasn't happened for a very, very long time, and we're very fortunate that they did reauthorize EDA. They have changed a little bit, and there's always a change when you have a new change in administration. If you will look on page 32, there's new priorities. And basically what you will see in those priorities is they've gone back to the basics. And it's job creation. They are looking at critical infrastructure. Workforce is one of their priorities. Innovation and entrepreneurship, economic resiliency and recovery is also in their priorities, and manufacturing, which in all the things that we have done in the past has fallen in line with these type of priorities. They don't have any money. They've done run out of all their money. I still recommend that you do an application, because then they'll start over again October 1, looking at applications, first come, first served type of deal. So get an application in if you can. And I will help in any way I can with those communities to get their application in. Next thing I want you to look at is on page 34. I am going to we're hosting a training event. It is with Kansas State University, the technical assistant to brownfields, but we're going to also add some other leadership speakers. We hope to have a Texas Water Board there. TCEQ and Railroad Commission may or may not be there. We don't know about that yet, but Kansas State will actually be doing a presentation for them. I'm hoping, we are actually going to have the Texas Economic Development and Tourism Office there. They will be there. We want to get Texas Parks and Wildlife there. We're going to do a little bit of fair housing and training that I have to do every year. And I want to do legislative updates. I have had some requests for that. Now, of course, they're still going. Matthew Wright has agreed to help in doing the legislative update. I've tried to get another attorney to come in. I don't know if he will or not. Brian from the Texas Municipal Education Center, Courts Education Center, I was hoping to try to get him, because he's really good at giving legislative updates. But I don't know if I can get him yet. And we're looking to do this June 10th. And
Where will it be at?
here, and it's going to be limited to 40 participants. Kansas State was like, oh yeah, we hope 40 will come. But when I put out their legislative updates and that I'm feeding you, I might actually get 40 people here. So that's what we're hoping.
Is the size of the room limited?
Because of the size of the room.
What if we found you a bigger room?
Well,
No cost. Just put that out there.
if you find me a bigger room really quick, because our flyers are going to go out soon.
Let's talk after the meeting.
Okay. All right. And we're still trying to confirm all the figures on that. And the only thing I wanted to point out is, because of some of the agencies are waiting, to see, there's been a slight hold on some funding, so there may be some things, some hiccups that we have to go through. It doesn't mean things are not gonna be funded, it's just with the new administration, we have to kind of wait for that. I also wanted to talk about code enforcement training. Balance program is gonna be doing code enforcement training. She is still waiting on the instructor. We only have one instructor that all the HOTCOGs use, for code enforcement training. It's just, there's not a lot out there. But it is something that everybody has to have. If they're gonna do code enforcement, they have to have so many hours of training. And, it's definitely something that we're happy to provide that training. I will let you know as soon as possible when that training will be. Anybody have any questions for me? All right, thank you.
Carrie, just to let you know that I know you're a relatively new member down there. Any acronyms that come up, just raise your hand if you know what it is. I sat here for many years not knowing what the heck I didn't know what a TCSC. You got one? Okay, I just want to make sure.
I was gonna mention that in my report. And that's just an FYI.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a CYA.
Anyway, okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. For our guest present, my name is John Workins. I'm the Director of Health and Human Services Division here at HOTCOG. You all received the program report with the executive committee, so it was sort of standard business as usual. Things are going very well. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. I do want to highlight, we're reaccrediting, 211 is reaccrediting what was formerly the AIRS, to use an acronym, which stands for the Alliance of Information and Retrieval Systems. That was the accreditation system for the whole 211 network. It's now called Inform USA. As we're going through that process, we discovered that our own Marcy Whitten, a former teacher of 22 years, who wears multiple hats for 211, we found out that according to the reaccrediting agent, she is one of a handful of people across the entire nation that has all three certifications of Community Resource Specialist, Community Resource Specialist AD, which is Aging and Disability, and CRSDC, which is Database Curator. Literally, there's fewer than a dozen people across the country that have all those specializations. And not only that, but we'll have a second staff member, Amy Rossler, who will have all three certifications here within the calendar year. So we have one of the best 211 units across the state, across the country. I'm very proud of them. And we have great units across the board here at HHS. And I'll let Rep speak to the transportation, which again, as Russell pointed out before, Reps won national awards as well. So we do a great job here on these activities.
You winner.
Good morning. Yes, my name is Rick Fletcher. I'm the transportation manager for HOTCOG. So mine is pretty much the same as last month. We're still growing. Even with some growing pains, we're still growing. The trip numbers are still going up. So you all received the numbers and the charts. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
I mean, we're 160 calls up from one year to another. That's good.
Thank you.
That's
That's just 1 month.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a 20% increase from last year this time. So really, really good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for what you do.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I thought we would talk about a time limit on the next speaker.
I really like the way you're running this meeting, Mr. President. We can do whatever you want.
Russell, you can do this in about a minute.
In front of you, you'll find the new 2025 version of the acronym books.
For the acronym challenge.
This is by no means is this an all-inclusive acronym list. This is just about 1,700 of the most commonly used acronyms that we use today. It's nowhere near a full list. I want to compliment Judge Justin Lewis on being named the 66th District Judicial Court Judge. We're very proud of him. I look at Linda, and he came on as a kid. We raised him up as a man, and we've sent him out, and he's done good.
XYZ.
I'm very proud of him.
Wow.
We recently met for our TARC meetings, which is, you know, the Texas Association of Regional Councils, last month in Austin. Had training for everyone. Of course, the legislature's in session. We're all getting DML and TARC reports on that. Again, cities and counties are under assault. We're monitoring that as it goes on. NATO will be coming up next month, the 9th through the 12th. I'll be attending that NATO conference. CSAC is also, we have a cybersecurity review coming up in the next year, which will be a top to bottom analysis of our entire network system. It will be tested to failure. No one across the state is expected to pass it. They will test the system until it fails to find the weaknesses so that we can build back from there. We're very happy to do that. CSAC's paying for it, so it's going to save us a lot of money, and it's to do the entire analysis of our system. I had something else I wanted to say, but I'm not going to burn up my mitt.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Is that gonna be it? I don't know if that was it.
We will be having the Area Agency for Aging statewide conference in Waco in June. That'll be the first time that that's ever been held in Waco. We're very excited to do that. We will be bothering to get a lot of results on that, and we would ask for all the board to attend this because it's a unique conference. In addition, in the same week as we're going to have the aging conference, TARC will be having its state conference in Waco for the first time. So aging, Monday through Wednesday, Wednesday through Friday will be TARC. Mayor Holmes, as y'all know, is our board representative on the TARC board. He's the incoming president. This will be his inaugural gala, and we're working with them to host and put Waco forward in the best light. Many of y'all know Eric Hobbs that works for us. Eric likes to talk a lot of trash, and Eric says he's gonna get Chip and Joanne to show up. So we're just gonna hold him to that. You know, wishful dreams, but we'll see what happens. But it'll be an exciting event. We'll be showcasing Waco, the zoo, Fort Fisher, a lot of the things that Waco's famous for. People need to see.
Do you have any idea when that's gonna happen?
That will,
It's June 25th through the 27th for AITC, and then TARC is, I believe, the 27th through the 29th.
yes.
Do you have a registration website?
We have a registration. We'll get with y'all on that, because we'll take care of all that for y'all.
All right, good deal then. Any other reports that we need to talk about?
March, the meeting.
Oh.
That's not going to work
Okay.
for the majority that show up for training. Because it's on the 28th.
Spring Judicial.
Yes. And so it's on, that's right, 27th. So if possible, we could change it to the 20th and have it on the 3rd, Thursday. But 27th, I'm just going, not that you have to have us, but
We need a quorum.
you are correct. And I go, just because I know the majority of us show up to that one. So,
Everybody check your calendar. Is March 20th good for y'all?
Hold it with me.
that's not your problem.
Nächstes Mal solltest du nicht mal offen.
We'll send out a notice.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring, I saw it and went, oh, man.
All right.
No, that's a good catch though, thank you for saying something.
Anybody else have anything else they need to bring in? Okay,
Sir,
go ahead.
might we indulge two of our guests? We have Ethan Surdy from Representative Curry's office, who is on the Transportation Committee and on the Government Efficiency Committee, newly appointed committees. Maybe Ethan would like to say something?
Ethan, you need us to kiss up to you a little bit? What do you think?
Well,
We'd be happy to.
hey, you've already proved your efficiency today.
Okay. No, we don't mind doing a little kissing up if it'll help us at all.
Russell does enough for all. Good point.
Vicky?
Thank you. So we, as y'all know, we passed the budget, and I'll be getting with Congressman Sessions this weekend, trying to get more of a comprehensive idea of what that's actually gonna mean for everybody. We also have a meeting this afternoon, where we're gonna be going over the appropriations, request and have a meeting internally, so we should be getting information on that out to the, interested parties.
Russell, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Being the Latina here in the board, I have been getting a lot of calls from Hispanic people that are scared to come out because of the raise and possible here in Waco, and asking me who can they contact if they are in question or picked up or whatever. I got a call the other day that they had an appointment with Pete Sessions to ask him what they could do. This person has been here in the U.S. and has served in the Army, but for some reason, he was adopted here in Waco, and for some reason, something happened to that paperwork. So I don't know who, I'm getting a lot of calls from folks, who can they turn to help them? But I don't know.
For him, the VA.
Him, the VA. and
Yeah,
what
get the
now-
VA, get with the VA, American Legion, as far as, because lots of times, I go, if you join the military,
Yes.
that is a pathway to citizenship, and, I mean, as long as he didn't get a dishonorable discharge or something close to that, they can work it to make that piece work.
That he was fired from his current employment because they said something about the new process that Trump put out there, that he came under suspect for that, and so they fired him.
So
Because they felt like his adoption papers were correct.
And I'm aware of that case. Jessica Dominguez, who works in our office, she's in charge of USCIS, immigration, all of that. She's actively working on that case. And he's absolutely right. We're gonna be going to the VA, we're gonna be going to all our different agencies. But if anybody does have any questions, if they need help, they're always welcome to call our office. She's full-time with immigration.
Okay.
And we'll help people work through all of that.
Thank you. I've gotten a lot of calls.
Alice, what
I
about
didn't
one
know
stop?
where to sit.
What about one stop, Alice?
Well, for this former Marine, he is a Marine.
Right.
He went to Pete Sessions' office, and so I don't know where that is in, but I'm talking about in general. Can I just tell him, hey, contact Congressman or Senator?
We'll be happy to see what we can do to help them.
Okay, because I'm getting a lot of calls, and I just don't know what to tell them.
Just so y'all know as well, not only do we have the full-time USCIS, but we also have a medical doctor, Bill Ferguson, who handles all our VA casework. He's a medical doctor, but he works for us all. He's a veteran as well, and so he works on all veterans affairs. So he makes those inquiries and send that in as well.
I think that's a good question to bring up, because I'm sure that's on a lot of people's mind right now, especially in our communities that have a high Hispanic population, such as Mahia, where I'm basically from. But Linda, you had something on that?
Not on that, I wanna say something more. I just wanna get it in before you dismiss us.
Wait a minute.
That's why you interrupt, Linda.
Ready, set, go.
Freestone County has been awarded a grant from the Texas Historical Commission
let me just say, it's not that I'm trying to rush through this. I'm not good at meetings. I really don't like to have meetings. If I can cut a meeting down, I love to cut it down. So if y'all want to say something, anything that we need to talk about, I don't want to rush it through this, but
No, I appreciate what you're
on
doing.
the same token, anything else that we need to talk about today? That being the case, do we have any public comments at all? If not, then,